Students, this video goes with Unit 2, Lesson 10, Review of Multi-Step Equations and Inequalities. I'm just going to work a few problems with you and be done because this is just a review. Okay, so here we have a multi-step equation. We have some distributive property here. We have some other terms that are added on to the end. We want to work with this distributive property first. So what we're working with is the -2 times, and in parentheses, 3x plus 5. Whatever we're working with is going to change on the second line, but everything else is going to just be brought down. So I'm going to bring down the plus x, the minus 5, and the equals -45. And then I'm going to do this distributive property. -2 times 3x is -6x. -2 times +5 is -10. So now I look at the line that I have and I want to combine like terms before I can do anything else. So let's find our like terms. I have a -6x and an x right here, just a 1x. So remember, with like terms, we're looking for the terms that have the same variable, and then if they have exponents, we look for the exponents too. These don't happen to have, these have an exponent of 1. I also see a -10 or -10 and a -5. So I'm going to combine these like terms, and then the the -45 will just come down to the next line. So let's combine -6x plus 1x. That's going to be -5x. -10 and -5 added together is going to be -15. So now I have a two-step equation that I can solve. I just ignore everything else I already did because I'm done with that, and I just look at this two-step equation. Two-step equations, we either add or subtract first to get rid of the constant, which is the -15. And then we multiply or divide. So the first thing on this two-step equation I'm going to deal with is this -15. I'm going to do the opposite of -15, which is +15. Remember, we have to do that on both sides. If you remember your balance scales, we have to do the same thing on both sides to keep it balanced, to keep it equal. Bring down the -5x. Add together the -15 and the +15. They cancel out. Combine the -45 and the +15, and that's going to be -30. And so now we have a one-step equation. -5x equals -30. What's been done to the x is been multiplied times -5. The opposite of that is divide by -5, and we can use a fraction bar to show that. These -5s, they equal 1, so 1 times x is just x. X equals -30 divided by -5 is 6. So our answer, our solution to this equation is +6. We might also see some word problems that we need to write an equation from in this lesson. So let's read this word problem and we will highlight some things as we go. So Gail started with 30 pairs of shoes and donated X pairs. So we don't know how many she donated. She donated X pairs. Her sister Bonnie started with 22 pairs of shoes, and she donated half as many as Gail did. So half of that X. Half as many. How many pairs of shoes did Gail donate if they had the same number of shoes remaining? So to represent Gail, I will use the expression 30 minus x. She started out with 30 pairs of shoes and she donated some. So she ended up with minus how many ever that was. And then her sister Bonnie started out with 22 pairs of shoes and she donated half of what Gail donated. So we're going to call that 1/2 times x. So now we can set these up equal to each other and we'll find out how many pairs of shoes Gail donated, because the X is what she donated, if they have the same number of shoes remaining. So we're going to set up the 30 minus X equal to the 22 minus 1/2 X. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this negative 1/2 x away from the right side of the equation and get it over to the left side of the equation. But remember, I can't just move it. I have to do the opposite of what's been done. It's been subtracted, so I'm going to add 1/2 x to each side. So when I combine these two, they make a zero pair, cancel out. Negative x plus 1/2 x is negative 1/2 x, because that's negative 1 and 1/2. Bring down the 30. So now we have 30 minus 1/2 x equals 22. This comes down and this comes down, 22. Okay, so now what I need to do is I just realized I put that minus twice, so I needed to get rid of that. I need to subtract 30 from both sides. And we have negative numbers, but we're going to end up with a positive number. That cancels out. Bring down the negative 1/2 x, and 22 minus 30 is negative 8. Now, dividing by negative 1/2 is what I need to do, but when we divide by a fraction, remember we multiply times the reciprocal. So we're going to multiply times negative 2, because negative 2 over 1 is the same thing as negative 2. That's supposed to be a negative. So when I multiply these, they cancel out and they equal 1. So x equals negative 8 times negative 2 is positive 16. So that means that Gail donated 16 pairs of shoes. For the last type of problem, you might recall using tape diagrams when we did these types of problems. So let's look at this is going to be an inequality. A group of friends wants to go to the amusement park. They have no more than $290 to spend on parking and admission. Parking is $11 and tickets are $23.25 per person. Now, we want to know how many people can go to the amusement park, but the no more than tells us that it's an inequality. So if I do a tape diagram, the first thing I'm going to include is my $11 for parking, because that is a one-time fee. We also know that they are going to pay $23.25 per person, but we don't know how many people there are. And you might remember doing this and doing the little ... because we don't know how many people they can bring, and that's actually what we're trying to find out. So ... because we don't know how many of these 23.25s we need or we're going to be able to bring. And then the total cannot be more than 290. Well, it can be exactly 290, but it also can be less than 290. So this is going to be a less than or equal to equation, or inequality, excuse me. So we're going to set this up as 11 plus $23.25 times, let's call it P because people, and that is less than or equal to 290. So let's subtract 11 from both sides. So 290 minus 11 would be 279. And then if I divide $2.25, that's 12. So P, the number of people, needs to be less than or equal to 12.